So it's interesting that when you get the proper Mahabharata, it's huge. Even the summarized versions of Mahabharata is huge, but like proper Mahabharata is this big. And this is one edition. There's a total of, well, this one with the print being short, it's quite small, is 4. But I have seen others where there's 8 of these. So it's also interesting what they emphasize in the Mahabharata, because there's scenes that are so long of conversations or descriptions. And then there's other bits where you think, why didn't they give us more details on this? Like they just, in like one line and it's done. So we have Narad Muni coming and speaking to Yudhishthira. And Naradji sees the beautiful palace that has been made and praises it. And then Yudhishthira, being Yudhishthira, when praised, even though he's quite happy that Indraprastha is doing so well and it's a beautiful palace, he still knows what's the right thing to do. And I thought these are small things that you learn from scriptures in terms of how to live our everyday life. When somebody praises us, then Yudhishthira would reciprocate by saying, tell me about other palaces that are beautiful. So somebody is saying, your palace is so beautiful. Naradji has gone everywhere. And so he's now telling Naradji, tell me about other palaces that are so beautiful. So in the sense that, sure, my palace is beautiful, but it's not the only one. Like that's such a nice way to deal with praise. Of course, how we do it really matters because, sometimes I'll say something to someone, which is a praise. And then again, in our scriptures, we'll reply, all God's grace. And it's interesting how when somebody says that, how it can feel so different coming from different people. So we can learn how to say things and we still say it. I would still say to say the right thing as how we have learned to say it. But sometimes it takes a while for it to become who we are. It doesn't necessarily sound right straight away. And that's okay. My whole point is that's okay. We learn how to say it. It might not be completely genuine just yet, but I'm trying. And I think that sincerity of effort is very important. So praise, how do we handle praise? Firstly, gratitude. Secondly, we don't dismiss it because very often people will do this in the name of humility also. So, you so intelligent. No, I'm not. Yeah. So you dismiss it. But that's actually not a healthy way to deal with praise. And then, like I said, His grace. Like, so you so intelligent, His grace. And then, how many incredibly intelligent people there are on this planet? Like, they really are. And so this is what Yudhishthira does. But because it's Narad Muni, so he's not talking to a friend, he's talking to Narad Muni, tell me about other intelligent people. So it's not even me saying there's lots of other intelligent people. It's now asking Naradji to praise other people. So nice, no? How intelligent is Yudhishthira? And so I think in these small ways, when we see how Yudhishthira was incredibly graceful and mature in how he did things. So they've done this Rajasuya Yagna, because Naraji had, when describing all the palaces in the heavens, mentions that Pandu doesn't have as nice a palace. And please tell Yudhishthira to perform the Rajasuya Yajna, because then it benefits our elders. And I did mention this last week, that how we behave does affect our ancestors. You know, our karmas are to some extent interlinked. Even this is understood in astronomy, astrology, which is why we check the stars and the charts before weddings, when kids are born. Having said that, I don't know if there are people who practice it in its truest form anymore, but definitely during the time of the Mahabharata, there were very learned people, and they could read astronomy, astrology. So what happens is, so very simply, let's say I am born with a fortune of wealth as my destiny. And destiny is that arrow that has already been shot, which is going to happen. Not everything is going to happen, but there's certain things that are going to happen. For example, if I break a bone, then pretty much sure it takes 6 weeks in a cast for it to get better. So at the point of bone sticking out, 6 weeks cast is going to happen. Now that's prarabdha, because why? This action has already happened, and that's the consequence that cannot be avoided. After the cast comes off, what will I do? Not written, not destined. You know, whether I go back to playing the sports, whether I decide to be very gentle and calm, and whether I'm fearful about doing anything that so it shouldn't get hurt again, or whether I go out there all charged, blazing, like, you know, I've got so many other bones that I didn't get broken yet. That attitude is all completely free will. But those 6 weeks in a cast at the point of bone breaking is prarabdha. That consequence now has to be faced. So there's certain things that is prarabdha, and it will just have to face it, because the arrow has already left the bow, and it will go at the speed and the distance with which the intensity of which it left the bow. So that can't be changed. Even the speed can't be changed, even the intensity and direction of it can't be changed. Sometimes little bit here, there, divine grace can, little bit, but mainly rules are not broken and adhered to. So if I am born with wealth in my fortune, then as a kid, I can't earn my own wealth. And so whoever the breadwinner of the family is, mother or father, will get more wealth so that I can enjoy the prarabdha of that wealth, because it's my destiny. So maybe it wasn't in parents' destiny, but now I got born with the destiny of wealth. So now they also have it. Yeah. But if their destiny for poverty was stronger than mine for wealth, then I will be poor. So we do influence each other when we're living in close-knit community. And sometimes we don't realize who we're benefiting from. We think our life is good, but actually we're riding off somebody else. And we see this incident in the Ramayana, where this gets told that Ravana tells his brother Vibhishan that you have been enjoying kingdom and all the comforts that I've been giving you. But actually, all the glory of Lanka was Vibhishan's destiny. And so the minute Ravana kicks Vibhishan out of Lanka, Lanka literally plummets. And so certain things are fixed, and we can fight as much as we want to, they fixed. How will we know what's fixed? Aha, this is the tricky bit. We don't. You try your very best and it didn't change, it was fixed. You tried your very best. You did change it. Okay, good job. So bottom line is we have to try to do whatever we think is the right and best thing at that point in time. But there's also a certain amount of solace in knowing that I'm dealing with the consequences of the actions that I created, and to have that gracefulness to face it. So again, in the Bhagavatam, King Parikshit puts the snake around a rishi's neck. He gets cursed to die by a snake. And when the news is delivered to him that you're going to die by a snake biting you, he says, I did the action. This is the consequence. I accept it fully. And so for us in our lives also. So now what's happening in my life? Some actions I did, and these are the consequences. So I have to face them. Do I want to continue facing them? Then continue doing those actions. Do I want next life to look better than this life? Then change actions. But they can't be avoided. Consequences of actions cannot be avoided. Okay, so Yudhishthira, being a better king, does give Pandu benefits in the region of the ancestors. And so Yudhishthira is going to be driven to do this Rajasurya Yagna. I don't know how much I went into the Rajasurya Yagna story last week, but it's huge. Think of the most elaborate Indian wedding that, some of them go on for a whole week, and so many events and so much clothes and so much food and so much times 10 is a Rajasurya Yagna. There's so much happening in a Rajasurya Yagna. And so one of the things that happens in a Rajasurya Yagna is the nearby kingdoms come and offer gifts to the person conducting the yagna. In this case, it's Yudhishthira. So many people came to give Yudhishthira gifts that they needed help in receiving all these gifts. Who was helping them? Duryodhana. So Duryodhana is receiving incredible amounts of wealth and looking at it and putting it into Yudhishthira's storeroom, receiving more wealth, putting it into the storeroom. Jealousy gets fueled when we see how much the other person is getting or having. Now, one was the wealth. Now, the description of the wealth, that's why I said in the Mahabharata, it's interesting what they focus on. The description of the wealth is incredible. From art to carpets, to pearls and jewels and plates and elephants and horses and camels and servants, and like what constitutes wealth is so interesting. People were included in wealth. So you can think about it like today when big companies, what is it called? Headhunt staff. Because people are a wealth. When you have the right person doing that job, I assure you, I know this. Life is so much easier. And then when you can't find the right person to do the job, your work is just so much harder. Or it doesn't quite get done in the way that we know it can get done. People are an incredible wealth. Their talents, their skills, their attitude, right? And you know, so there's certain people when they're in the ashram is definitely a lot louder. Um, certain people when they're in the ashram is more organized. Mm, people really bring a sense of um, atmosphere with them. And so one of the wealths is people. But here I want to even just briefly mention that each one of them, the five Pandavas, is an incredible human resource. And you see this here in the Rajasurya Yagna, the way that they're conducting this event, like their skill, their efficiency, their resilience. So we even see it in Draupadi. So here is when you really see how dynamic a woman Draupadi is. So Draupadi would on a daily basis feed the family, which, you know, it's very ceremonious, would then feed the brahmanas, would then herself, and they would feed something like 500 brahmanas every day. So she would be, what's the word? Manager, administrator, and looking into all the details of it being done. Once the brahmanas were well taken care of, fed, honored, respected, and given a gift and bid farewell, she would go into the streets to those people who could not find their way to their castle because they were injured, lame, disabled, feed all those people. So the idea of a queen sitting in the palace doing her hair, even though that's one of her talents, apparently she really did hair really well. Knew many, many different hairstyles. But on a daily basis, this level of seva bhav, she hasn't eaten yet, huh? She's fed 3 different groups of people and not small numbers. Then goes back, make sure all the staff, servants in the palace are fed. So Draupadi was equally dynamic in terms of leadership, skill, resilience, and she didn't tire. Like she would do this and breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like that's already. Plus, that wasn't her only chores, huh? She was actively participating in which kingdoms are allies, which kingdoms that should be approached, which kingdoms, you know, can be, we should stay cautious of. She was part of all those political discussions as well. So Duryodhana, jealousy. He's seeing an incredible amount of wealth. Incredible amount of wealth. You know, even today, when you go to Rajasthan on some of those tours around the palace and they tell you how much wealth one king had, and all of it, of course, is sitting in London, but like time, that's like a small amount compared to what Yudhishthira would have had because Yudhishthira was so loved by everybody else. So this was the other thing that Duryodhana sees. One, he sees this incredible amount of wealth, but what really pricks Duryodhana's heart is everyone loves Yudhishthira so much. Everybody just keeps praising and admiring and liking. And then you have the Pandavas, Bhim, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev, who are so loyal to Yudhishthira, like so incredibly, you are what you say goes. You are our world. So that level of loyalty and dedication that the Pandavas had for Yudhishthira, you know, it's a very legit reason to be jealous. Because Duryodhana, I mean, he had wealth. Hastinapur was very wealthy. It's not that he didn't have wealth. Um, not as much as Yudhishthira at this point, but he had plenty wealth. He didn't have that level of respect from other people. Nor did, well, he had Karna, who was that loyal and devoted to him, and his brother Dushashan. But not that, I guess, in that same spirit that we see it in Yudhishthira. So now jealousy. I was thinking about this today. I was wondering why we call jealousy green. Because Duryodhana's jealousy has reached maximum capacity. So he goes back home and it's like festering, it's like that, it's like he's boiling. Inside it's boiling. And so he turns to his uncle Shakuni. So we're going to pause story here. We're going to look at Shakuni. We haven't seen Shakuni so far. Have we met Shakuni so far? No. So Dhritarashtra marries Gandhavri. Gandhavri's father had 100 sons and Gandhavri. And Gandhavri has 100 sons and Dushala. So in her family, this was a thing. Having hundreds. And you know how twins exist in some family? In her family, 100 kids is a thing. When Dhritarashtra marries Gandhavri, Dhritarashtra is an interesting character. His pride is very easily hurt. All of us, our pride is easily hurt. Some of us, more easily, the pride is hurt. Maybe because he was blind and it became a chip on his shoulder, or maybe that was just a Dhritarashtra, even if he could see, because there's plenty of people who can see, who have chips on their shoulders and are very, very touchy with things like pride. So he gets into a fight with father-in-law and 100 brother-in-laws. Should really think things through, but no. What does he do? He gets annoyed with them and he jails them. They kings and princes. But Hastinapur is a bigger kingdom. But this is also, I've noticed this, wife's family. Like, how is this not gonna, like, you hurt somebody totally non-known, that comes back to you. When you hurt family, it's too close, it's gonna come back quicker. So he jails them. And not only does he jail all 101 of them, the father and the 100 brothers, they weren't in good living conditions. It was damp, it was dark, and they weren't getting fed properly. So the 100 brothers get together and they say, we will give all our food to one person so that he stays very strong. The rest of us will die. But this one person will get our revenge. Against who? Dhritarashtra. Hurt will hurt. This is a rule. When you hurt someone, whatever your reasoning be, they're going to hurt you. Like if you haven't understood this in the Mahabharata by now, like this lesson is only going to come 101 times. Like we've already seen it quite a few times already. Shakuni was the one brother who lived. Can you imagine how you would feel eating your brother's food, knowing they are going to starve to death and you are going to live? Can you imagine what that would feel like? How determined he was. Like, my brothers died. Why? So I can get revenge. How driven we are for revenge. I was hurt, so this person who hurt me must suffer. This is basically what revenge is. We're going to see this in Shakuni. We're going to see how Shakuni is so instrumental in causing this war. We're going to see this in Duryodhana. What Duryodhana does is so inhumane. And why? Yes, he was jealous. That one incident of Bhim laughing and making that comment, revenge. Karna, all of them now. These are the four: Shakuni, Duryodhana, Karna, and Dushasan. Dushasan is just one chamcho. He just does whatever Duryodhana tells him to do. He doesn't really have too much dynamics in him. But these other three, they're driven by revenge. And please remember, all these things are happening in our hearts all the time. We have to be so acutely aware of how when we feel pain, we want the other person to suffer. What was Karna's revenge? Karna got up to participate in the Swayamvar of Draupadi, and Draupadi said, no. Hey. Yeah, interesting also. Duryodhana is upset that he was laughed at. Which one of us hasn't been laughed at? And in Karna's case, rejected by, he wasn't in love. Well, maybe, I guess everybody was infatuated with Draupadi, but not love. But yeah, you like someone, they don't like you back. Ouch. Who hasn't had that happen to them? Some few of y'all might say me, but most people, by the time you reach high school, only it's happened. Kindergarten, primary school would have happened already. A lot of the hurt we feel is just life. But we hold on to hurt so much. And when we think about how we hold on to hurt, shows us how good we are at holding on. And then when scriptures say, hold on to God, oh, so hard. But you held on to hurt so well for so many years with such determination. Okay. Shakuni, eating the food, staying alive. Watching his brothers die of starvation. Why? Because Dhritarashtra has jailed them. Shakuni is incredibly intelligent. So just word of advice here, if you're going to make enemies, make sure they're not intelligent. Intelligent enemy, oh, Shakuni single-handedly causes this war. Shakuni completely choreographs this war to happen. Why? He is so intelligent. His understanding of each person's psyche, best psychologist in the whole Mahabharata is Shakuni. He watches his brothers die. He takes their bones and makes these dice. Which dice? The dice that is used in the game of dice in the Mahabharata. The bones of his brothers have the memory of them in it. And so when Shakuni thinks of a number, the dice fall on that number. How is this possible? They sacrifice their lives. Sacrifice will give siddhi, power. They sacrifice their lives for Shakuni to live. So the power of that dice was in Shakuni's hands, well, Shakuni's mind. Shakuni never lost because those were his brother's bones, obeying his thought. He just has to think it, and those dice would fall exactly where he wanted it to fall, on which number. Okay. What was Shakuni's goal? His whole life, the goal is destroy the Drashtra? No, I told you, Shakuni is very intelligent. Shakuni wasn't happy with destroying the Drashtra, make the Drashtra suffer. Even though his sister's going to suffer with him, because that's his sister's kids, huh? He was going to destroy the entire Kuru lineage, which means all the Kauravas and all the Pandavas. He succeeds. If it wasn't for Krishna, he would have succeeded. The only reason the Kuru lineage continues is Krishna saves Parikshit in Uttara's womb before he's born. If y'all know the story, great. If y'all don't, it's okay. Krishna saved the day. One kid survived. One kid survived. From 5 Pandavas, 100 Kauravas. Their kids, all of them wiped out. Why? Shakuni wanted revenge. We can dedicate our life to something so noble, and we can dedicate our lives to something so destructive. Constantly, we have to think, what am I dedicating my life to? What am I doing? What am I holding on to? And this is a very important introspection question. Yeah. What am I holding on to? We'll hold on to pain. Again, I'm going to say it. We feel we can't let the pain go. But actually, it's not that we can't let the pain go. We are holding onto it. And how can I say this so confidently? Actually, it's Swami Vivekananda who gives this example. If you try and hold water in your hand, if you make your hand really tight, some people are really tight now, no holds, the water will stay. Some people that the holes in between their fingers are so big, the water won't stay only. When we do puja here, it's very interesting. You see straight away. Some have even if you hold your hand cupped and you've got the, practiced pujari now, how to keep that water in your hand, how long it will stay there? 2 minutes? won't last after that. It will go. What am I trying to say? Actually, you can't hold on. How else am I saying this so confidently? Mind is, definition of mind, flow, keyword. Does flow hold on? Cannot, right? Flow cannot hold on. So then I have to rethink that thought so many times to hold on. It's me holding on. We'll say, I can't let it go. But what we're doing is we holding on by rethinking it and rethinking it and rethinking it and rethinking it. Yeah. Whether it be an event or a belief or a pain, an incident, a memory, rethink of the memory, rethink of the memory, the pain of that memory, heartache of the memory, the dialogue of that memory, rethink it, rethink it, rethink it. And then now, I can't let it go. Are you only rethought it so many times. Please note, we actually can't hold on. Shakuni held on to his pain. Duryodhana holds on to his. Karna holds on to his. And so they scheme. And this is interesting. What does Shakuni say to Duryodhana? His exact words are, you will never defeat the Pandavas by fair means. Only foul means will work. Why would you give such advice? Good advice would have been, defeat the Pandavas by fair means. If you can't defeat them, you die. Anyways, you can't live seeing them prosper. Fine. Either beat them or die and don't see it. That's what a Kshatriya would have done. This is what Karna has said, if you remember, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, in the Mahabharata timeline. I would have said it in 2-3 classes ago. Karna says that, right? As Kshatriyas, let's fight them. Yeah. But that's not what Shakuni says. Shakuni tells Duryodhana, you will never be able to win by fair means. So use foul. When somebody gives such advice to you, signals should go on in your head that this person is not your well-wisher. Why? Consequences of actions. Actions will have consequences. If I use foul means, consequences of that action is going to be, it can't be anything pleasant. It can't. This is Shakuni's first card that he plays. How to destroy the Kuru lineage? Adharma. If you're following dharma, you can't be destroyed. To be destroyed, I have to make sure you do adharma. So interesting. I told you, Shakuni is incredibly intelligent. I'll repeat this. As long as I'm following dharma, I can't be destroyed. The minute I stop following dharma, I'll definitely be destroyed. This is basically the punchline of the Mahabharata. And Duryodhana has already not been following dharma. He already has tried to kill Bhim. and the Pandavas. But now it's this whole new level. And so Shakuni says, let's invite them to a game of dice. Now, here again, why did Shakuni choose the game of dice? Because he had those dice that will listen to his command. But also, no honor can come to anyone who has won anything in gambling. So whatever we win in gambling, it's very clear here, doesn't bless us. In fact, Hong Kong loves gambling. And then now the Indians living in Hong Kong love gambling. But Hong Kong at large loves gambling. And I don't think I've said it enough times. I think I should print it on the door of the ashram. Anything you win in gambling cannot bless you, will not bless you. So why would you gamble? You gamble to win, right? Nobody goes to gamble to lose. And whatever you win when you're gambling will not bless you. Will not, cannot bless you. Why? It's adharma. So, Shakuni, how does he plan on defeating them? Gambling, which is not going to bless them. So look at what he's doing. When you watch Shakuni play the game of dice, Duryodhana wins so much wealth, so much power. The entire kingdom of Hastinapur, Indraprastha, it looks like Shakuni is helping Duryodhana. From outside, it looks like that, right? He wins an entire kingdom for Duryodhana. He's not helping. He knows the rules. So he's giving Duryodhana supposedly what Duryodhana wants, but he's making sure that Duryodhana does not benefit. Because his goal is destroy Kuru lineage. Nobody in the lineage will prosper. Shakuni also knows that there is no way under the sun that he can get Yudhishthira to do adharma. Can I get Duryodhana to do adharma? In a heartbeat. Can I get Yudhishthira to do dharma? Never. So how to get Yudhishthira to play this game of dice? Please know Shakuni is very intelligent. It has to be at the command of the Dhritarashtra. Because dharma dictates to listen to your elders, number one. Listen to the king, number two. How to make Yudhishthira gamble? The Dhritarashtra has to order it. So Shakuni convinces the Dhritarashtra to order Yudhishthira to gamble. When Vidur goes to invite Yudhishthira to gamble, Yudhishthira's first sentence is, no good can come from gambling. Kings are forbidden to gamble. Wealth should be earned righteously. And then he's told, the Dhritarashtra's ordered you to gamble. Immediately Yudhishthira knows, no good can come of this. He literally looks at his four brothers as though, I'm sorry guys, he already knows what's going to happen. He even tells Vidur, Duryodhana will not play, Shakuni will play. Shakuni will use those dice that follow his command. They are going to win everything from us. Why does he go? Yudhishthira will follow Dharma no matter what the cost. Now you might think this is foolish. You must remember this lifetime, whatever we have to face is only this lifetime. Dharma stays with us for lifetimes, plural. The heartache of this lifetime will stay with us this lifetime. Also remember, all our sorrow comes from attachment. What is Yudhishthira attached to? Have we done character analysis on Yudhishthira? Nothing except Dharma, which means he will endure any suffering. Why don't you and I endure suffering? Why would we not follow Dharma to the nth degree, no matter what? Attachment. You'll see this in movies and all of that also. Like, I think I've given this example before. I don't know if I've given it in the Mahabharata classes. During World War II, in Nazi Germany, when they were told to press the button to activate the gas chambers, many didn't want to. In fact, during World War II, many didn't want to shoot. Like, why should I shoot this person? They've done nothing to me. Yeah. Then why do they end up still doing it? Sometimes duty, but very often, and this is why I said we see it in movies, family. The family is in danger if I don't. The family will suffer if I don't. I have to go back home safe to look after the family. Attachment. Yeah. They would do this a lot also, right? In prisoner of war camps. They didn't kill that person. They killed somebody else, and you had to sit and watch. It's so hard to do. Even during India's freedom fights, they killed so many innocent people. Very hard to sit and watch. So, Yudhishthira would not do anything adharmic, no matter what the cost. And this is very hard for us to understand because our attachments are so strong, we're not willing to pay the price. We're not even willing to pay half the price. We would cave at, I think, quarter mark. Yudhishthira will not cave. Yudhishthira will not cave. Whether it's his life, somebody else's life, he will not cave. What happens is not life is taken. What happens is, very intense. But what I wanted to really bring home was that Yudhishthira didn't want to go. Yudhishthira knew this was, what's the word? Ulterior motive. This was all, what's the word I'm looking for? A scam. Yes, but that's not the word. This was all engineered to rob Yudhishthira of his kingdom and hurt the entire Pandava lineage. Well, actually, it was to hurt the entire Kuru lineage, not just the Pandavas. But one more thing before we pause for today's class, even though I didn't go into the proper game of dice, actually avoiding it because it's such a horrible incident. Naraji had come and told Yudhishthira that Yudhishthira would be the cause of the worst war ever. Imagine being told that. That too by Narad Muni, who can see the future and who wouldn't lie to you and who has your best interest at heart. And so now remember again, Yudhishthira won't break dharma. Narad Muni, who's a great saint, tells him something, he's going to listen. So what does Narad Muni tell him? That God wants to cleanse the earth and start afresh. And this will be the worst war ever, with the most amount of deaths ever. Poor Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira has so much sattva. He has such a good heart. He's so peace-loving. For him to hear that he's going to have to fight this horrendous war and that it's going to all be on his shoulders. And so it is said that why did Yudhishthira go? Why did Yudhishthira allow whatever happens to happen? He kept hoping maybe the war won't happen. If I endure enough, maybe the war won't happen. Yudhishthira was willing to sacrifice so much. He was willing to sacrifice himself. He was willing to sacrifice his brothers. He was willing to sacrifice Draupadi. Why? Maybe this war won't happen. I also want to say Yudhishthira was the only one who doesn't want this war to happen. When you see the game of dice, Bhim wants the war. Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev want the war. Krishna wants the war. Yudhishthira is the only one who doesn't want this war to happen. And so he really puts up with a lot, hoping that this war won't happen. But this war was decided. It was prarabdha. It was going to happen. How can I say this so confidently? Bhagavad Gita chapter 11. Krishna shows Vishwarupa Darshan. And what does he show? The war happening. And all the Kauravas, such an interesting picture. The Mahabharata is really very violent. Well, chapter 11, the scene is violent. It shows that death has its mouth open. This is what's being said in the Gita verbatim. Death has its mouth open, and the Kauravas are running in. And you know, like when you chew and parts of the food is unchewed and it's in the teeth, Shakuni, Duryodhana are like in the teeth of the jaws of death. Interestingly, this bit of the Gita is what's quoted when the atomic bomb was being released during World War II. Then when, who is it? The person who headed the project of the atomic bomb in America, when the testing happened in America, he said, he quoted this line of the Gita, "Death has opened its jaws and everyone's rushing in." Of all things to quote, and the Gita to quote at that point in time. It's very famous. Gita became famous because of that atomic bomb. Well, Gita was famous before, but in American circles. I actually haven't started the game of dice. I've just told you Shakuni's story and how each one is holding on to their pain and that Yudhishthira does not want to go. Okay, let's do this little bit of the story before we pause. So the game of dice starts and Duryodhana Duryodhana wins an incredible amount of wealth. In the Mahabharata book, it's 5 pages. What? Describing the wealth that Yudhishthira loses to Duryodhana. And every single time Yudhishthira loses, Yudhishthira says, this was earned through fair means. So every time Yudhishthira is trying to reiterate that don't do this. It's not like Yudhishthira was like a gambling alcoholic. What do you call that? Addict, and he didn't have his senses and he foolishly lost. No. He really did try not to fight. He even requested that, you come about another way. He even says that if I'm, when kings challenge each other, you have to be on the same status. Even in the war, when you have to fight with another soldier, you have to be at the equal. Like a black belt can only fight with a black belt. A green belt can only fight with a green belt, like that. So even with gambling, you have to gamble with someone who's on your status. And so Yudhishthira says, who can match my wealth? And actually nobody in the room could match his wealth. And so Duryodhana says, we'll put all our wealth together and we'll play you. And he says, that's not allowed as per the rules of gambling. So actually we shouldn't play. And then Shakuni says, why are you scared of something, Yudhishthira? And when your uncle has invited you to a friendly wager, why do you object? And so remember I said Shakuni was really intelligent and he was the best psychologist there. What would annoy Yudhishthira? Not, are you scared? That wouldn't. Beam, you said, are you scared to beam? Oh, he will put up such a fight. Yudhishthira wouldn't care. Call him scared, he doesn't care. When your uncle has invited you, are you insinuating that he is unjust? Are you insinuating that he is cheating you? He says these things. Yudhishthira wouldn't dare. Yudhishthira would not disrespect, even though Yudhishthira knows that Dhritarashtra is completely aware and deliberately doing this so that his son can get the kingdom, he will not disrespect. And so what to say to Yudhishthira? Shakuni knew very well what to say. Okay, so Yudhishthira loses all his wealth because Shakuni is going to win because the dice listen to his command. Then what does Shakuni do? I told you he's intelligent. Shakuni says, Yudhishthira, is this your true wealth? Why? Because he knows very well that Yudhishthira doesn't consider this his wealth. So here too, I'm going to reiterate. Yudhishthira didn't put up a fight when losing wealth. At the end of this whole game of dice, when Draupadi is given a boon that she can get back whatever she wants, she doesn't ask back for the wealth. At no point here is any of the Pandavas interested in any of the wealth. And it was a lot of wealth. Right? It was an incredible amount of wealth, but they were not interested in the wealth. At no point in this game of dice can you say the Pandavas wanted kingdom. In fact, Yudhishthira was happy to give away the kingdom. If giving away the kingdom stopped the war, Yudhishthira would have given it away. In fact, he gives it away hoping it stops the war. But it doesn't. Okay, so Shakuni. What's Yudhishthira's greatest wealth? And this is again one of those beautiful things about the Mahabharata. What is our greatest wealth? People. Yudhishthira's greatest wealth is his brothers and Draupadi. And so then they wager. And he wagers his brothers. Oh, it's so painful. It's so painful, so painful, so painful. This part is so hard to read. I have to keep stopping. Go do something else and come back and read. It's just so horribly painful. But what's interesting is that before Yudhishthira stakes his brothers, he praises each one. Oh, wow. Like 2 pages worth of praise for each one. Nakula and Sahadev. In fact, here you see Nakula's strengths. Nowhere else is Nakula praised except for good looking. But here you really see kind, gentle, loyal. He was so much praise. And incredibly intelligent, apparently. Sahadev we know to be incredibly intelligent, but Nakula also apparently very, very intelligent, very resourceful, very efficient. And so you can really see how much Yudhishthira loves his brothers by the way he praises them. And then he loses them. So he loses Nakula and Sahadev first. And then you know what Shakuni says? They're the sons of Madhavi, so you don't mind losing them. How you can say that? The Pandavas never saw that difference. Kunti never saw that difference. Why would Shakuni say this? Oh, he's so clever. The only thing that would hurt Yudhishthira would be a comment like that. Losing his brothers would not have hurt as much as a comment like that. Because God forbid Nakula and Sahadev thought that. Like he loved them with all his heart, he would never, ever think that. And so to even have somebody say it and them think it is so incredibly painful for Yudhishthira. This Shakuni, I'm telling you, don't make enemies with intelligent people. He completely knew how to destroy Yudhishthira. He knew how to destroy each one of them. Okay, so he loses Arjuna next. So 2 pages worth of praise for Nakula and Sahadev. Something like 5 pages worth of praise for Arjuna. And actually throughout the scene of the game of dice, and I know I haven't gone into how horrible it is yet, but I don't know if I can bring myself to. You see Arjuna's control. Like Bhim every now and then wants to go and rip somebody's head off. Arjuna just is so controlled, so incredibly controlled. And then at the very end, when Arjuna loses it, the earth shakes. Imagine his power, that his anger can make the earth shake. Now, and then Yudhishthira loses himself. We'll stop here. 2 more minutes? I can't do the next scene in 2 minutes. The next bit will be a class in itself. We'll pause. Any questions? Yeah, what Gandhavri's brothers did wasn't so bad. For some political relationships, they didn't give in to something. He wanted something, they didn't give in to it. It was money related only. It was petty. It wasn't significant. And that's why the brothers were so angry. And that's why you'll see Gandhavri also. I mean, she's an amazing woman because she gains incredible siddhis and her tapas, but she doesn't really side the Dhritarashtra. She tells the Dhritarashtra, you're ruining your kingdom. She tells Duryodhana, but then at the end of the day, a mother's heart, she gives it. But she tells him, there's no way you're going to win this war. She tells him what you're doing is wrong and adharma. And she tells him, Gandharvi even says, you've inherited your father's blindness. Yudhishthira is a fit king. Shakuni won't listen. Shakuni won't listen to Gandharvi. She doesn't have enough voice for them to listen to. Gandharvi would not have been able to stop Shakuni.
Did all the 100 brothers who were ordered to be killed?
They weren't killed, they were imprisoned.
So why was Shakuni allowed to be in the presence of the games? Why was everybody okay with him being around?
Shakuni is the mama, Gandharva's brother.
Yeah, but
His family. He'd be in the palace, he'd live with his sister.
He was jailed with the rest of his brothers.
Yeah, the Dhritarashtra was blind. Duryodhana was blind. And Shakuni was super intelligent. Shakuni knew exactly what to say to whom. Shakuni totally, what's the word? Masked this, the Dhritarashtra. The Dhritarashtra is very easy to masker. You don't even have to be intelligent to know how to patave the Dhritarashtra. Praise him, insult his enemies. You'll win over the Dhritarashtra very easily. Insulting the Dhritarashtra made him jail all those brothers. So now you know how to play him. The Dhritarashtra was scared. He didn't have strength. I mean, he had physical strength. He didn't have mental strength. He got scared easily. Even with the game of dice, he gets scared. He gives back all the wealth to the Pandavas. He gets scared. Then the Duryodhana has this meltdown. So, Shakuni knew how to talk to the Dhritarashtra. He knew how to stay in the palace. He made the Duryodhana need him. He never went back to his kingdom. He stayed in Hastinapur. And yes, he dies. What was there for him to live for except this? That's why I told you, what are we living for? We have to be so clear what we're living for. Shakuni was living for getting revenge. Earlier, I told you Drona was living to get revenge. Now Drupada is living to get his revenge. We get hurt and then we hold on so tight to our hurt. So foolish we are. Our nature is happiness. Do we hold on to that? No. Our nature is love. Do we hold on to that? No. We get hurt. Then we hold on so tight to hurt. We need to see how foolish we are, and no good can come from it. No good can come from holding on to our hurt. We will then hurt the other person. They will then want to hurt us. We will then want to hurt them. They will want to hurt us. It does not end. Why the Dhritarashtra's wife hasn't objected against the imprisonment of her family? She may have objected, but they didn't listen. Well, the Dhritarashtra definitely didn't listen. Actually, credit to Krishna, he listens to Rukmini. Credit to Yudhishthira, he listens to Draupadi. The Dhritarashtra didn't listen. And unfortunately, at that point in time, women weren't always honored and respected. How could Shakuni escape from the prison and be allowed to in the circle of Duryodhana? Yeah, so I've answered this. He was smart. So when he survived, he got out of the prison, he got into the kingdom. He knew how to play everyone. Nobody, even for a moment, suspected him, except Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira knew the whole time. But because Shakuni had the Dhritarashtra's protection, even though Yudhishthira tells Dhritarashtra that these are against the rules, that it's getting used in the wrong way, but Yudhishthira won't say too much. He'll say only what's permissible. Shakuni is the mastermind. The Dhritarashtra did not suspect him. Duryodhana adored him. Duryodhana did not suspect him. Till the very end. Even after Shakuni dies, Duryodhana does not suspect him. Any other questions? No. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukhabhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityu. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.